My thing is, it's not even so much the content, but it's the messenger.
Yeah,
which is the problem with this
you're right.
week, right? But the problem with this week is your ex can't sit in front of me and ask me a goddamn thing. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't have an ex that would say anything nice about me. If I'm giving it $1, they'd be like, that funky dog head ass. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. I'm your girl, Zar Eleanor. This is my beautiful husband, Joseph, and we are back and we're talking all things ready to love. Okay? So I hope you guys had a good week, a good weekend. If you're on the West Coast, I hope you guys are safe and dry. Or if you're in Hawaii, I hope you're safe as well. We sending all the good energy out to you guys. Let's talk all things Ready to Love season 8. We are on the episodes where the men are introducing the ladies to their exes. Now, I don't know.
I always dislike this episode. I just think it's a terrible idea. And it's funny because I was looking online and
everybody else
a lot of people was agreeing. Yeah, it's just like a terrible idea. I know they do it for shock factor. They do it for TV. They do it for ratings. You know what I mean? Because if you was doing this for love, you would never do anything like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I guess we got to go through it. You know? What
I think I'm glad about though is as we're watching this, none of these women, nobody acted out of character, nobody got extra. I really, really appreciated that because sometimes you do feel like I don't want them to be doing this for clickbait kind of thing. You know what I mean? I don't want that to be the case. But I do really appreciate that, you get to see how the men interact because then you also get a good idea of if they still chatting, if they not, you know what I mean? Yeah. What's the vibe? What's the vibe kind of thing? Right. So the episode opens up with Marie, Jessica, his ex, and Janelle. He invites them all over. I mean, they go to her shop is what it looks like. Yeah. And they meet for tea. And he says one of the things that he wants to know is there's, I don't even want to say this word, there's sexual prowess. As well as, what was the second thing he wanted to know?
I can't even remember. I was so caught up on the whole sex part.
Oh, I think the second part was about his spirituality or whatever the case may be. So, I thought, first of all, I like his ex. I really did. I enjoyed her. I was kind of like, damn, y'all could really be together. It's weird that y'all are not.
This is a whole nother reason why we shouldn't be doing this. And it's funny because I liked her too. And she also, when I saw her, she looked just like Tequila. Yeah. And I thought that I couldn't think of Tequila's name. I'm like, wow, she looked like one of the girls that was on the show. And then the other girl met her and she was like, you look just like Tequila. So I thought that was interesting as well.
I thought it was interesting, and I thought she was interesting. I really enjoyed the fact that she's 41 years old. She's a little bit older than Marie, like about 5 years older than Marie. And when they met, the biggest issue that they had was that there was this age gap. She was in one place, he was in another. And I think that happens oh so often. And this is what I was thinking when I was watching this. And this might be just because we have the only perspective we have is the male perspective. Mm-hmm. But isn't it fascinating how many of these men bought on a situationship versus a relationship that they were in?
Who else did that?
Okay, let me say this. Let me be honest. Only 2 men did it.
Okay.
So Jack did it. Is his name Jack or is his name Quentin? I'm so confused.
Quint is his nickname, but his name is Jack.
And Chris did it.
Quint and Chris.
Yeah, not Chris. I'm sorry. Chris bought on his girlfriend. Who was the other guy who did it? Phil bought on Phil, whom I like a lot. Mm-hmm. The more I watch Phil, the more I like him. But back to Marie, Janelle, and Jessica. Why do I want to like Jessica because I love an unbothered human, especially when they're women. But sometimes she give a little too unbothered.
Yeah, she doesn't give unbothered to me. She talk about Mean Girl. She gives Mean Girl to me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like Jessica, and I didn't like her from the beginning, and it was just her energy and how she spoke to people. We talked about.
I just think she's assertive.
It's funny, no, but you can be assertive without being demeaning to people in your delivery, and being cold. You know what I mean? And
you think she's cold?
Absolutely. And it's funny because the girl that she met thought the same thing.
Well, that was Chris's ex.
But she literally met this woman for 10 minutes or whoever. Let's give them 30, right? Because they filming. And when he asked, what did you think about her? She said, I thought she was cold. She literally used the word cold, right? But I
think, so this is what I've been going through in my mind, y'all. So this is going to be all like a lot of conjecture because I've watched this twice and I start getting feelings and start thinking about some things. I don't think we give enough credence to internalized misogyny. And the more I'm watching this, and I was thinking about this because we posted a TikTok and I got a lot of feedback when we spoke about Jessica saying that she doesn't want to, speak in a high-pitched voice in order to secure a man.
But back up. No one even told Jessica to speak in a high-pitched voice.
He didn't say that.
She literally came out with that in order to exacerbate and kind of demean his point, which is more of the reason why I can't get.
But wait a minute. Let's move forward to this episode. I
just wanted to clear it up for the social media space because a lot of people jumped onto that as if it was literally something that he said. Right. So we didn't, full disclosure, we didn't post the clip. We were posting us talking about the clip.
True.
And in the clip, Jessica literally says, in the clip that we were talking about, Jessica, which we referenced, she said, I'm not going to talk like this or whatever. You know what I mean? And so people kind of went off for that as if he said, I need you to like really speak in your high pitched voice to me. You know what I mean?
Which he did not. And that, in all fairness, he didn't do that. As I think about this more and more, I think about respectability, politics, and how all of that really, all of that is this big swirl of patriarchy, misogyny, and even women at times internalize that. So when we were talking about the Mean Girl statement, and her speaking a certain way, and Chris's ex saying like, oh, she just might be too strong or this or that. All of that to me feels, after watching it again, like internalized misogyny. Like, oh, like if you aren't acting a certain way towards a man or whatever the case may be, then you aren't desirable.
No, this is, and I think I don't want us to get off the rails here because the one thing that is factual in a relationship is understanding your partner's communication style. And that's at the heart of this conversation. It is not it's not internalized misogynistic. It's not patriarchy. It's none of that.
But they're dating, and I think that's what people were saying.
It matters not. It doesn't matter if you're dating. You can't get to marriage if you don't do the dating thing right. You just cannot, right? So,
I mean, not that marriage is the big goal.
That's what they're on here for.
I guess.
So we're talking about the premise. They're on here. Everybody's not out to get married, but they are.
Yeah.
Right? So this is what we're talking about when we talk about the premise of what's going on here. Mm-hmm. All of these people are here for marriage, and the people who are not get voted off, right? So you're never going to get to the marriage part, the love part, the serious part, any part. It doesn't take marriage out of it. It doesn't even matter if you can't get the dating part right. In the same way that my wife has come to me before in our relationship and said, listen, babe, I want us to get this right. But when you communicate to me this way, I don't respond to that. Mm-hmm. That was nothing about that was spoken from a feminist place. Nothing about it was a thing that had to do with societal norms and none of that. Okay. It was strictly, and I just want us to get back to what it is.
You know what it is?
It was this is strictly about somebody respecting somebody's boundaries and their communication styles. And the one thing that you learn when you go to therapy and couples therapy is that communication and communication styles is key.
Yeah.
Right? The first, and we see it on TV a lot. And so it's kind of like, kind of joked about, but it is one of the things that they have you do when they say, look at your spouse and say, this is what I heard you say.
Yeah.
The reason why they have you do that exercise is to get you exercising the muscle of listening to your partner and then responding to what they are actually saying, right? And so you can't do that. A lot of times the block is the style and how it's delivered. Mm-hmm. We've been in sessions where somebody said, it's not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it. And how you're saying it doesn't allow her to receive it. How you're saying it doesn't allow him to receive it. So I just want us to get back to that, because and sometimes people give off that energy to men, women, children, dog, we've all met somebody who just doesn't know how to communicate with people. And most of the time, people don't like them because of how they speak to people.
Okay.
And Jessica is just one of those people. The girl realized it. I realized it when the show first started, and she was mixing amongst everybody. I didn't like how she was talking to a lot of the women.
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? So I just don't want to get there. Like what you're saying is a thing. It says I don't want to make it. I don't want to take it away from what it is. I don't want to conflate it, because that's not what this is.
Okay. I do think it's something to what you were saying about Jessica. And I remember watching this thing with Brent Faiyaz. I was watching one of his interviews, and he was talking about how he chooses his partner, his spouse. Is like, he said at first it was just all about how he felt about him. And then he said, I started to realize a lot of the value is how other women feel about her, because that'll say a lot about her character. You know what I mean? And it is something, and not to say that women can't be, we could be catty. Well, I hate to say catty. I hate that. But, we can have feelings or whatever about other women, but I do think it's something to that. I do. And even I also judge women who often have, and I'll say judge, that's a big word, but that's the truth. Women who do take issue and have issues with other women. So I'm saying all that to say, Jessica does have a vibe. I'm saying all that to say that Jessica has a vibe. And I do think it's not always the most welcoming. And I think, let's be clear, if it was so welcoming, would you be on the show trying to find love with singles? And I don't know.
I don't know, because everybody has their thing, and it was just very clear early on that was.
And I'm not trying to beat up on her.
Everybody has their thing, and it was very clear early on that was Jessica's thing. Just like we talked about a little bit while we were watching the show. One of the comments was, I think I think it was Chris's ex or somebody says, I think that would be tough for you because you need a soft place.
Right. And that's recognizing your tone.
And Zar made the comment, everybody need a soft place. Right?
Yeah, who
so
don't?
Everybody needs a soft place. And so this is something that transcends the layers of colorism and race and geography and all of that. You want a soft place in your spouse, male or female, in reality, right? You want to be able to feel like however your spouse shows up in the world is how they show up in the world, but don't come home and show up in the world like that here.
So let me say this, though. Then let's say this. Because I think Janelle and Jessica are really cut from the same cloth. They're both very assertive. They use their words. They're very specific about how they speak on things. I just 1,000%. Don't think that Jessica has figured out the finesse of it with men, where Janelle has.
I'm 1,000% with
because
you
Janelle gets to it.
I don't think that Janelle is any less assertive since that's the word we was using before. I don't think she's any less assertive than Jessica.
I think they're equally assertive.
That's what I meant when I said you can be assertive and still not come off as a dick, still not come off as rude or demeaning, or you know what I'm saying? But
the girls is saying online, Janelle is not being the nicest. I don't know what that's about, but let's dig in to their date with Mariée, because I took y'all on a whole trip, so I'm sorry about that. But with Mariée. So Mariée, I'm not going to lie, I really enjoy Mariée. He is a spiritual man. He want to know how do the women feel about him being spiritual. And Jessica said something that I thought was fascinating. Jessica, the ex, asked, because she pulled, first she asked them what their sexual prowess was, which I did kind of think that was out of line. But then at the same time, I feel like we on a show about dating. You can draw the line wherever you want to. Don't get me wrong. But then it's it's weird. It's weird. You've seen his ecstasy face.
Because my thing is, that's the thing. My thing is, it's not even so much the content, but it's the messenger.
Yeah, you're right.
Week, right? But the problem with this week is your ex can't sit in front of me and ask me a goddamn thing. Period.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't have an ex that would say anything nice about me. if I'm keeping it $1, they'd be like, that funky dog head ass.
But your ex can't sit in front of me and say anything to me and ask me anything to me, especially something of the intimate nature.
Yeah.
You can't ask me, well, is you hitting it good? Like,
Ugh.
what? It really matters not what the question is. Somebody's is gonna have a legitimate reason to find offense because of the messenger.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's my
Yeah.
issue with this week.
I get that. So she asked them that they didn't take offense, but they just said that's not something I'm willing to discuss,
Right,
which I
with respect.
appreciate. And I thought that was classy AF. But then she says, we're spiritual people. And, would you mind if I pulled a card? And let me tell you what Miss Janelle said. Miss Janelle said, the person I'm going to be with is going to be rooted in the word of God, okay? And I don't want to be dibbling and dabbling in anything that, any pagan rituals. As if there is nothing more pagan than eating the body and drinking the blood. Like, I couldn't even believe it's the things that people say out their mouth. Y'all was the first one taking chicken feet and do whatever. Like, it's just so weird to me. What I loved is neither ex Jessica or Marie got offended. Marie said, you know what? This is why I like him. Because after that, in his little confessional, he said, I should have did a better job at introducing how I feel spiritually to them. And I thought, what a class act. I don't think Janelle said anything wrong. Yeah, she did. I thought it was disrespectful. I thought in the same way that you would never say nothing like that in front of a Jew and they practicing, you know what I mean, like Hanukkah or Rosh Hashanah. Like, we've been to dinners and everything. I would never say, oh, I don't want to practice anything. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's definitely a way.
It was disrespectful.
It's definitely a way to say I would not take part without throwing, salt
shade
on somebody's.
Yeah, like you could have said it without. It felt really indicative of why not only so many youth don't participate in organized religion, but black men. Because if you was looking for a black man that hard and you wanted him to be where you was at, why you ain't meet him at church?
But you know what it gave me? It gave me again, like the energy in the room. Like, to me, she added sauce onto it because it was the girlfriend. And it just gave, the ex-girlfriend. And it just gave to me it gave to me like this wouldn't even, similar to the other question, this wouldn't even be that big of a deal if it wasn't coming from this person in this way. And it just gave the whole energy. And even he said, when he was in the gentleman's lounge,
which was the most hilarious episode.
It was hilarious. But he's just said this did not all go the way that I expected it to. And I'm thinking, what did you expect it to go when you got these two women who are into you and then your ex there?
There are 7 billion people on the planet. What you worship is directly correlated with where you live. Like, it just is. It just is. So it's like for you to, and that's what they mean when they say mean girl. Not that they should have to play along with things that make them uncomfortable. Do not get me wrong. I just feel like if he never brought up the spirit, the things that women want and need and men want and need are vastly different. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating because I almost never hear men ask what a woman's religion is, why is that her religion, or whatever the case may be.
That's true.
You know what I mean? I almost never hear it. Like, never. Like, I was raised in a Muslim household. Joe was raised in a Christian household. It was never a thing. So it's always fascinating this way. You know what I mean? Like, you to me. So it's always fascinating to me when I'm speaking to women how, and maybe it's because we're all looking for someone with guidance, with foundation, you know what I mean? With morals, and we align, the Bible with that. And I get that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so I think it might be something there. And inversely, culturally, if you're Jewish and you want to marry somebody Jewish, there's a lot of tradition in that. So I'm going to give y'all a break. But I'm just saying, like, it just was. And
a lot of it is just tradition. Like, at the end of the day, like, what you said is very true in that a lot of religion is geographically based where you grew up, right? You know what I mean? Even in America, the areas that you grew up in, right? And so a lot of it is rooted in tradition. Like, you know what I'm saying? It might be our family traditionally only is unorthodox Jews, or our family is traditionally Muslim, our family is traditionally Christian, or whatever. So it didn't really, to me, it's just more, it's just tradition, It's
just tradition. And it's just fascinating. In 2023, we aren't open enough to understand that somebody could be spiritually aligned with their ancestors, with this, with that, and still be good and moral, and it's just fascinating. So, but I get it. So they have that conversation. Janelle leaves. She is too through. She said, I've heard enough. But Aries goes on a date with Chris and Jessica. Now, this is when we're talking about, first of all, I love Aries. And I really hope she meets somebody. I really hope it's Phil, if I'm keeping it 1,000, because they just feel good to me together.
Yeah, I do like them together.
But I do like her and Chris as well. But I don't know if it's because Aries is just one of those women who just could really bring something out of, like, when you see her with a man, she might bring something out of him.
Aries is that type where, she's just going to be a good, wife. She just gives that off, like good wife potential. You know what I mean?
She does.
Regardless of who she going to be with. You know what I mean?
She does.
So I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I agree completely. So they go out with Chris and Jessica, and they ask why Chris and Jessica didn't work out. And she says she didn't want to be a forever girlfriend. And I absolutely get that. And she said, which is fascinating. What's fascinating to me is that the trend here was that most of these men outside of Marie are no longer in a relationship with these women because they weren't ready.
Right.
Isn't that fascinating or no?
No.
Why no?
Because it's not surprising to me. I don't know how long ago these people dated, but I'm just not surprised, especially dealing with these exes. Most of the time, especially for men, it's where are they in their journey, right? It might not be nothing with the woman. It might not be nothing with anything else, but I find that a lot of the times it's where they are in their journey. And so most of the time when stuff go left, it's because they really wasn't ready to be in a committed relationship in the first place. You know what I'm saying? And that's just I just wasn't at all surprised that was kind of like the thing.
Yeah.
The one girl was with the guy and he was just like, they weren't even in a relationship. She was just like, I wanted to be with him. I didn't even know why she was on the show.
Which one? Well, wait, let's get there. Hold that thought and then remind me when we get there. So Chris apologizes to his ex in the middle of the date and just says, sorry, like I just wasn't there. I apologize. You and I spoke about this, about, where I was at the time. And I appreciated, like Aries, that so much so that they knew, like, I'm in a place of growth. You know what I mean? Like, and I think because she didn't rebut him or say you're gaslighting me or this is what you do, to me, I felt like it was genuine.
Oh yeah. He gives off genuine. So I really wasn't surprised, and I did feel like it was legitimate.
Yeah, I thought it was legitimate,
yeah.
and I appreciated that as well. I really like Chris.
I
the
do
more
too.
I watch him, the more I really like him. I do agree that I don't know who would be for Chris, to be honest. I don't know why Chris and Lee ain't get together.
Yeah, they just really.
They would make more sense. It ain't like the baby. She only say about 2, 3, 4, 5 words.
I know.
You know what I mean?
I think so too. Chris's matches. Again, to me, out of those matches, the only ones I really see it is Aries, and that like we said, that might be because Aries just kind of gives.
She get that vibe,
yeah.
exactly. But Jessica then asked Jessica then asked his ex, and I thought this was a good question. Like, did you feel supported in the relationship? Not that matters in this relationship, but the young woman said no. You'll be supporting him all day, all night, and you won't be getting none of that back. What did you think about that?
I just thought, again, this is another benign line of questioning. Like, you know what I mean? And her answer didn't surprise me. That was her experience. And a lot of the times, we will project that experience onto somebody else, right? Like the young lady, I can't remember her name, but she was on the host of The Talk or something like that. She was with this one man. They was together for years. And she told him she didn't want to have kids. She had no intention of having kids. She leaves him. She gets with a completely different partner.
Jeannie Mai.
The real. Has kids like, I don't know what they are together a year before they started having kids. So he would, if you asked him, he would have said she didn't want to have kids. So good luck, because you ain't finna have no kids.
Good point.
That was your experience. She's with a different person now.
Good point.
It's going to bring, her chemistry is going to change. Her thoughts and actions are going to change. So that's my biggest problem with this week. You projecting your trauma and whatever BS that you dealt with this person on me. Almost all of these men, like you said, are in different places to the point where they weren't ready when they were with X, Y, and Z. And now they on this show and people is like, I'm trying to get married in a year or whatever. And they like, all right, that don't scare me. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you and I had this conversation last night. When we talk about servitude, there's, like I said, I was literally thinking about this today. Like, do I have an ex that would say something nice about me? You would probably be the only ex I had say something nice about me.
I don't even count.
Every other ex would be like, you trifling. I ain't that bitch. I hope she burned at the stake. Which, in truth, okay, like, you know what I mean? They wouldn't be wrong. I was terrible. But I do think there's something to being a place in your life where you're just only, your only need and want is to be served. And how it serves you.
Of course, everybody goes through. I think everybody even should go through a selfish phase in life. I wholeheartedly agree with that, because I think when you don't, it comes up to bite you in the ass later.
I think selfish is. I don't like the word selfish, because self-preservation is like the first rule, right? So anything you do, I always tell people, anything you do, it might seem like outside of like harming someone else, and you do it for you. It was a good decision, right? I think it's more that you understand the value of you and what that means and looks like for you. And that might mean, I got a little space to branch out and be valuable to multiple people. Or it might mean, you know what I mean? I need you to make sure that you doing this, and that, or else we not, whatever that looks like. I do think it's important for people to explore whatever it is they need to explore. But I don't think selfishness should be aligned with running the streets. I don't think selfishness should be aligned with...
I don't think it's a negative thing. Like, I think that everybody is not going through these phases in life from this higher elevated place of learning.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's putting too much sauce on it and giving it too much grace. Like, sometimes it is just a selfish phase, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. You 19, you 21, you should be selfish.
But I don't think,
you know what I mean?
What I'm saying is, I don't think it is a negative thing, which is why I'm saying let's not even label it selfish. But sometimes 20, it is. Sometimes you're not 20 and you're doing it, right? I've seen people break up with somebody and say, I just am in a place right now where this is what I'm doing. Right,
and
but
that's okay too. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I just think that selfish sometimes has negative connotation.
It does, and I'm trying to push back against that, because I don't think it deserves to have that. You know what I mean? Because I think in everything within context.
So Janelle, Lee, and Quentin go out. Jack, Quentin, whatever baby want to call himself, and Quentin go out. So this was weird. Again, another young woman who wanted to be in a relationship with a man who was not. It's no way I would go anywhere in the world. Okay, come on TV. I don't give if there's 20 people watching Ready to Love. You would never hear me say, I want to be in a relationship with him. He ain't want to be in a relationship with me.
I'm immediately like,
I would eat, let me tell you.
Why are you here?
But that's more of a red flag to me than anything, because why couldn't you just bring an ex?
Because he shouldn't be in communication with an ex. That would be my first thing, which a lot of people online agree with when I tweeted it out during the show. My first question would be, why are you even still talking to that mother? Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. He probably brought her because their friendship remained strictly platonic, and he was the only one that said, I can't pick up the phone and just call any of my exes. Like, that's not a thing. You know what I mean? So for real, like, my thing would be immediately like, I would ask you, if I was from their standpoint, from the woman's standpoint, why are you even still that close? You know what I mean? To me, it just seems.
So did you take issue with how Marie and his ex was close?
Absolutely. They was vibing. They had chemistry.
Nobody
saw that. Like, that's the other thing that's awkward about this week. Like, sometimes it's like, a situation where y'all wasn't even together, Jack. And then sometimes it's a situation like, oh, y'all was best friends.
Yeah.
They telling you what they eat. They telling you about their diet. They telling you that's what he likes to do. He go to sleep at this.
Yeah,
you wouldn't be like, hold on, like, what?
I mean,
but this is, of course, I'm not going to have.
I'm not that evolved. I don't think. I've been in close proximity with people my exes have slept with, but not. I don't think been in a relationship with, from my knowledge. But I was pretty involved in that situation. Now that I think about it, but I don't know that. And actually had a real good. But they were older. We were, you know what I mean. It was like 100 years later, whatever the case may be. Married, moved on, whatever. And that was like the vibe at the time. Like, oh, when you're in college, everybody in the group date each other. And then you was dating him, but now you married to him, and now he dated somebody else, but we all still hang out kind of thing. So that's really, white people stuff. But but for real, but in real life, I do think it's a bit odd to still be, I don't know, if they've seen your ecstasy face, what do you even have to talk about?
And why are you talking at all?
Yeah.
Why are you even?
But also, if to know me, I tell people all the time, if somebody say something bad about me, believe them. If somebody say something good about me, believe them. I'm a complex human. So if I did something dirty, I for sure did it. I probably did it. You know what I mean? But if I did something wonderful, I also probably did that. So, I just think that, like, when people talk, when we have these conversations, it's as if the only way you can be, like, we aren't all living a human experience, and we can't be complex. We can't have feelings. We can't be mean or bad or, you know what I mean? Everybody's not good all the time.
Right.
I guess is what I'm saying. So they go out with Janelle, Lee, and Quentin. And although I did feel like Quentin bores me, and I don't know what it is. And I want to like him more. I like him for Janelle, and I also like him for Lee. But I also find him...
Oh, you talking about Jack? I'm like, who's Quentin?
That's what it say. They was calling him Quentin on the show.
Quint. Quent.
Oh, my God, baby. I'm sorry.
Like, who is Quentin?
Oh, maybe he's the fifth. Maybe he Jack the fifth.
Maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm just calling you something else. But in real life, I do think that, like, I could see him with either Janelle or Lee. But how did you feel about Lee getting upset that he said in front of Janelle that he ghosted her? Did you think that was petty?
I did think it was petty. I thought it was more about the competition amongst women than your relationship with him. Like, you just felt like, oh, she might think she got an upper hand on me. You know what I mean? Like, you focus on the wrong thing. Like, I just thought.
But you don't feel like it's hard to separate the two? In this kind of environment?
I think I wouldn't be caught dead in this type of environment. So I can't speak to, you know what I mean?
I just realized the more I watch shows like this, the more I realize I'm really not that experienced.
It would never happen.
I don't even know why y'all listening to me.
I could strike out 1,000 times in life. I'm just not built like that. But I can't speak to.
I think it's brave to do this. You gotta be brave.
Brave is not the word I would use. I would say bold. Either one
isn't a bad word.
Yeah, I would say bold, but I can't speak to how that feeling is happening when you're in the moment and that's happening. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Yeah, because you're territorial. Don't pretend like you wouldn't.
That's why I wouldn't be here.
True.
I wouldn't be here because mine can't be out here dating Jack and Quint and Chris, and I can't. We ain't doing all that. But to my point, if you sign up for this, I think you should be prepared for that.
Yes.
And not be reacting in this way, because this is what you signed up for. But it was very plain, like clear labeling. You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's where I'm coming from, where I really don't have a lot of patience for it, because this was not an undercover show. Like, you knew exactly what you was getting into. So when you got these issues where you like, oh, I'll stop talking to so-and-so because I heard he was on the phone with so-and-so. Yeah. It's like, why did you sign up to be on a show where 20 young adults meet each other and date? You know what I mean? I
also think that, like, Lee is a very beautiful woman. But she doesn't give me like personality or bright or vibrant. Like, she does give me, like, she would kind of fade.
Forgettable. Super forgettable. And I think that's her thing. That's why she's here. It's not that she don't look good. Not that she don't got her stuff together.
Yeah.
She is just very forgettable.
And I don't want that to be said or heard in like a negative vein. I just think that everybody doesn't have this like personality that captures people.
No, and sometimes this the environment
sometimes you shrink in these kind of
like
ways.
Lee can get easily drowned out when they're in the room with somebody like Janelle and Sierra, and you know what I mean. Like it doesn't surprise me that she has been kind of resigned to the background on this, because if she was in a room at a house party, you would forget she was there. If there was other people in the room, like a Zar, like somebody else, where more people gravitate towards them, they have bigger personalities, you know what I mean? But I think that's absolutely why her thing. Like, that's why she here.
I just say whatever I want to out my mouth, and people find that I don't know why people find that endearing. I don't know. I do like Lee, and I really wish her all the best, because it does not look good for her. That's all I'm going to say.
She's going home soon.
But the good thing is that the women have the opportunity to get rid of man next week, and we'll see what happens. But other than that, she probably would have been the third on the chopping block.
I mean, the thing is, she's gonna be one of those people who just sneak by out of just out of the design, because it's too many people that they ahead of her that just need to go home. Kira, whatever, needed to go home. Needs to go home.
It was almost like an HR violation.
Like she had to go home. Jessica is obviously going to be next to go home.
No, I think Jessica. I think Marie really gets Jessica. I think they really like each other.
Yeah, but that's only one person. Nobody else.
But that's all you need, right?
Right, but that will get you staying home, especially as the numbers shrink. Right,
but I think it's only one more elimination,
which is a flaw in the system. But Jessica is going home next. Kira, she definitely needed to go home. So I think
Jessica not going home next. Sierra going home next.
I think Jessica will go home again. Sierra has flown by because people like her. They don't really have a connection with her. People dislike Jessica. Sierra is also kind of a benign situation here. She doesn't really have any strong connections, but she's so likable. She's almost the opposite of Lee. She's so likable. She's easy to get around. She's easy to hang around. The opposite of
you know what I mean? That's a good point.
It just is what it is, like,
But I want to talk about Melody, Janelle, and Herbert. Herbert introduces Janelle to his ex, Melanie, who him and his ex look like they would be together, which is so fascinating. Janelle lets them know that she's not sure that she wants to have her own children. She's a woman of a certain age, and she's thinking that she wants to adopt, which I absolutely am obsessed with. And Herbert wants his own children. He's 37, which, men can keep making babies or whatever the case may be. But I felt like he was intimidated by Janelle's timeline, and I am a woman of Janelle's. I'm cut from her cloth. I don't think it takes a long time to get with somebody. I just don't. I think at a certain age, I think once you get to an older age, you done dated a few people, you done lived, you done loved, you can meet a mother jumper and in 6 months be like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah, I don't want to use the word intimidated. I think anybody would be alarmed by Janelle's timeline.
I don't think she said by the end of the year.
I want to meet somebody. I want to fall in love with them and then get married and then have babies in by the end of the year.
No, she said she wants to be
alarmed by that.
She wants to be engaged by the end of the year. Yeah, I don't think that's alarming.
Okay, well I do. It's just not surprising. There's nothing wrong with it. Like it's I don't think it's like, again, she's 42, so respect. Like I get it, but it's not surprising that he was off put by it, because I don't think you could find somebody on here who wouldn't really be off put by that.
Quint wasn't. He was like, I think that's a reasonable timeline.
Yeah, Quint was in her face when he said that, and Quint is.
And he was in her face when he said that. Oh no, he wasn't.
No. Yeah. No, I think he was BSing. Like, he's.
You think he was BSing?
Absolutely. Men have said crazier things to get.
Let me tell you something. I'm a firm believer. One, communicate what you want, because real men. I don't have a problem with we'll just be like, okay, first of all, shit or get off the pot. You don't have to come over here. Men are so fascinating. You will come over, usurp all my motherfucking resources. Come over, I cook, I clean, I do this in all the 6 months. I'm doing all the things, but you need more time. It is so fascinating to me. Let me tell you something, ladies. I don't give a damn how long you've been with them. Leave them. If it's not aligned with your timeline, leave them. I bet you he'll figure it out. Janelle's absolutely correct to believe that she could be engaged, proposed to by the end of, if she's dating intentionally and with somebody who is intentional, she could absolutely be engaged at the end of the month and moving on to marriage. I think it's crazy to think at 37, 38, 39, 40 that you got all this maybe time to find the love of your, like, no, like, let's lock in.
Yeah, I don't think we overcorrecting. Like, I don't think Herbert asked for, I don't know what all this time is.
They both said, his ex said that he's slow. She said that he's slow. So it's obviously he has a pattern of being slow. Let's be for real.
Right. I was talking about the bigger theme of like fast tracking a love type situation, right? So I think we overcorrected. I didn't have a problem. Let's be clear. I didn't have a problem with anything Janelle has said. Janelle has been saying this since week 1.
I agree.
So if I had a problem with it, I would have been said it. So I don't have a problem with that. My only statement was I'm not surprised that he was off put by it, and I'm not surprised that other people could be off put by it as well. Mm-hmm. It's just a thing of, it is something that you want, more power to you. It will shrink your pool. You know what I mean? Because most people, when you put a timeline on stuff like that, most people go, I don't know about that. Right. You know what I mean? That's all. It's nothing wrong with it. But like you said, just like it's a lot of women want a lot of different things. Right. He got to be rooted in the church. He got to go to church. And he got to marry her 6 months. And I keep the same energy. I say that's fine, but I will say it will shrink your pool. That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't have a problem with it, but I do think it'll shrink your pool.
So, Marie's ex Jessica meets Sierra. Sierra is not here for, I don't care what nobody says. Sierra's here for fun, jokes, and gigs. Shits and gigs.
Yeah, she don't have...
You're not going to get me to believe this young woman wants to be in love with anybody on this show or anybody outside of this show. I think she just is living her life. I really don't, and I don't have no problem with it. Am I lying?
She asexual?
I really do get that from her. I don't even think... She don't even give me... The way she talked to these men is like completely unserious.
I mean,
it's completely unserious.
From beginning to end, like she could kill. But she's not. But she never does it in a rude way, in a nasty way, in a disconnected way. You know what I mean? That's why I think she gonna fly by before anybody else will get cut, because she just be vibing with people, but not in a serious way at all. Like, I don't think anybody thinks that she's a connection, real connection.
I don't think so either. And I did think it was funny though when she was talking about Marie and his ex. She was like, "Oh, we would have to break this up though. Like, it wouldn't be none of this."
Bro, 1,000%.
Which I thought was hilarious.
The real ones know. Like, you can't see somebody vibing like that and it's like, "Oh, let's talk about, what we have planned and where we are in our day." Right. Like, I would be like, "What's going on here?" Like, you know what I mean?
That is fascinating, though. But I also know what it feels like to just move on and be in a space where you see somebody.
Like, y'all are, I don't understand. The past got y'all in a headlock. Like, that's all I know. The whole idea of like this, even communicating with exes, single, or I wouldn't,
you used to communicate with me.
This why we still together. Because separate and apart from
don't play.
That's not a thing. You know what I mean?
It just is really fascinating to me that Sierra is here, because to me, Mama, she really just gives me like, I'm here. I might not be here for a long time. I'm here for a good time.
Yeah, 1,000%.
And I like it. I like her. I like it. You know what I mean? I just hope we can get a little bit more of her. Maybe with Chris, because it seems like they had a cute little date and they was flirting a little bit.
She flirt with everybody. It's nothing there. There's no smoke. It's no fire. Like, it's nothing there.
Okay. Well, it was a really fascinating episode. I thought, Kira has to go. Oh, let's go to Kira, because I didn't talk about this. Kira meets Phil's ex. Kira and Kat meet Phil's ex, and it came out that he wasn't a very affectionate person. That was something that she was lacking, and you could tell when he was with Ari, he had his hand on her thigh when he said and everything like that. So it is obviously you get with different people and you do different things.
1,000%. Like, if I ever sat down with an ex, it would get awkward, because they would probably be like, "Who is this?" You know what I mean? Like. I just, it gets awkward for people because, again, different people, everybody is different in different relationships.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
People prior to me would probably say Zar is not affectionate, and that's not my story. You know what I'm saying?
They would for sure say I'm not.
The other day, we going somewhere, Zar literally said, "I want to be in your skin." That would freak some people out, but to me, I'm like, I'm cool. We could cuddle when we get home. You know what I mean? So it's just like, this whole week is just so silly to me because it's like it's just silly.
Yeah, because who does it add value for?
Who does this? I mean, like learning about your past self that you're not even that person no more. You know what I mean? He's affectionate with her. He was never affectionate with you. He just ain't like you like that. It was you.
And
like,
Phil has a child. Kira does not want to date anybody with kids, which I obviously get. How old is Kira? 32?
30.
Oh, she a baby.
That's what it says.
And so that makes sense to me why she wouldn't want to date a man with kids.
But this the wrong show for you then.
I agree because all these men is grown.
Everybody's
big grown.
Super grown.
You know what I mean?
Super grown. The young,
it ain't a 30-year-old on here.
The youngest man here might have been Jack at 34.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So I just don't sign
and
up
Kat
for this.
didn't see any issue with that. She was like, that's the age we're at. People get married. People get divorced.
You can't on this
you
show.
Just, that's par for the course. People are living their life. But she also made mention of Phil said that he, there was a time where he wasn't working the way he wanted to. And that was the reason why he wasn't as affectionate. Which, let me tell you something. A man without money is the worst. They are not fun. Unless they used to not having money. And then they are a lot of fun. But they ain't got no money. Let me tell you something. It's either or. I'm telling you.
No, it's crazy because I was reading something the other day on Twitter, and this guy wrote a whole thread, and he was just like, I thought I was depressed. The synopsis of the Twitter was, I thought I was depressed. In reality, I was just broke. He literally said, and it wasn't, listen, because I knew it wasn't even a comical thing. Like, he wasn't making a joke. It was no meme.
No, he's dead serious.
He was writing a thread about basically like, it was kind of all based in mental health. And it was just like, pay attention to these things because you will misdiagnose yourself thinking that something wrong with you that's not. Like, pay attention because your finances can do that to you. Had you taken pills and all this other stuff? And he was just like, I realized I was laid off or whatever. And it's these feelings started coming up later in that time in his life. And once he got back on his feet and everything like that, he literally like just took you bit by bit, and how I thought I was depressed. I was just broke. You know what I mean?
Hilarious. Which that's how men are. So I get how he didn't want to be affectionate and everything. He like, which I appreciate, because if you ain't got no money, you ain't got no pum pum. That's law. Okay, like that's
it's
law.
No different
so,
from a woman saying like, sleeping
pum.
with you because I don't feel my best. I don't feel sexy. I don't feel. Right. It's the same thing.
Kira is just really, really fascinating.
Terrible.
I do find her terrible.
She's terrible.
I find her really bad, actually. But I also find her 30. She's 30. You know what I mean?
But her age is not the excuse. She is terrible, and she needs to go figure out where all of this self-hate is coming from.
Ooh, it's deep. It's deep.
That's really what.
But she said something about him in her confessional that I thought was fascinating, because she said she wants a man who's already established, and it feels like, because Phil said that he, went through a time where there were no storms. He's a claims adjuster, and if everything is great, then he don't gotta, gig or whatever the case may be. And that was hard for him. But she was like, well, do you experience that often? Which tickled me. But I also feel like if that's what you're looking for, I didn't feel like she was on the right show.
Yeah, she's just not.
I feel like there's a nice hotel you can go sit at the bar and meet a man who's going to provide for you in the manner that you want. Yeah,
also because that's not, being a claims adjuster is not the daredevil gig. That's not, like, he's not a gambler. Like, you know what I mean? So for her to speak to him like that is even, she's just so easily disliked.
No, it's too easy to dislike this young woman. But my thing is, I'm also a woman who believes you should marry for money, period. You can learn to love anybody, learn to love somebody with some money. However, if you are going to be in this space where you're opening yourself up to loving people and you are in love, people should be allowed to go through a season. Like, I think that should be allowed. Like, I think, you know what I mean? Like,
because everybody got one.
I mean, I don't, but other people do. Yeah, I'm always up.
A season, again, everybody has one, and a season is not strictly financial.
Right.
Like I read something the other day, and it said control is an illusion. You know what I mean? Like,
was that for me?
No.
Oh, that sounds like a dick.
No, I read something the other day that said control's an illusion, and it hit so hard because we do all of these things and make all these plans because we think that we have control, and then a hurricane hits.
Yeah.
Or something
or
happens.
Pandemic.
With, or your job gets sold. Or like you just never know.
That's true.
So like that's what everybody has their season. So to go into any type of dating process thinking like, oh, you was down once, like you're gonna be down too. And you better hope that it's not health.
You better be happy
that
this man even shared that.
Yeah, right. I
thought that was very vulnerable to even share. But let me tell y'all something. The more I watch Phil, the more he up there with Marie. Y'all know I love me some Marie. But I do think that like these men are so open.
Yeah.
And willing to talk about. It just feels different. I don't know. Do y'all think it feels different? Like, let me know. Am I like forcing it, or is it feeling like we got some grown people?
I just think that these are great candidates from the men's side specifically. I think there's a lot of great candidates.
I do too.
You know what I mean?
I do too. I think Phil is really dope, and I think when he said what I also like about Phil is his level of clarity. So often you will find men who will continue to play with people just because of proximity or, convenience. And he literally said, if she got an issue with people who got kids, me and her don't have, we
Period.
don't. It's just, that's it.
Yeah.
It's just that clear. What do I look like still talking to you? And I got a son and you don't, where that?
1,000%.
Go ahead about your business. Love that, because he did the same thing with Tequila. Like, you're weird.
Yeah. Right, and you're on the wrong show.
I appreciate that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you got to be, like, upfront and intentional. And he's showing through his actions and the things that he's saying that's the vibe he's on.
Yeah.
So I really did like that. But thankfully, these men are clear and they understood that the people who really shouldn't be here are Sierra and Kira for very different reasons. Sierra, we just want to let you go and be the fairy that you are. Okay? With your sweet self. I like her. But Kira is literally dealing with a lot of self-hatred. And when she saw Herbert, she thought, she literally talked back to about every point that Herbert made.
Yeah, she's just not here to me, she wasn't here for anything either. Like, very similar to Sierra.
She said that the feeling was mutual.
Girl.
Also, that green dress she had on, y'all, I got that same green dress. I ate the girls down at the work happy hour, okay? Didn't I, babe? I look cute. They was like, but for real, I think that, so she wasn't eating it up like I was. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Nah, not at all. But she also started flailing at the end. Like, just say, all right, thank you. This was a great opportunity. Get the corporate
just hear people
just
out.
Thing up. Well, you know what? I was leaving anyway. You can't fire me. I quit.
It felt mutual. I'm gonna be honest. I think they even forced Phil to put her on a date. I don't think.
They did. Natural. I think they did. I don't think that was natural. She never had any real connections in the first place.
And I think honestly, it was a rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
I think Phil just pulled the short straw.
Yeah, they needed somebody. Yeah.
You're not gonna get me to believe this big grown man who act like a big grown man wanted to be on a date with this child.
Nah.
Because she's just not giving the level of maturity that I think the other women do. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Or personality.
Yeah,
she's not. But
she is abnormally polarizing. I guess self-hatred is polarizing.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
I guess it is polarizing. Touche. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? But she's, I wish that brown baby so much good energy. I hope she finds what she is looking for, because mother is lost.
Yeah, she can move on.
Yeah, big loss. So I actually, I didn't hate this episode. I thought it was fun to watch. I think what I liked the most about it was that the men's lounge to me is always fun.
The men's lounge is always a vibe. I didn't need them to go meet some exes for this to happen.
The boy see the car. When they start pulling the cars, everything went wrong. He said, "Well, what the cars say?" That tickled my soul.
He said, "Well, what did the cars say?"
What did the cars say? Oh, that's happening. Like, what's up with the what's up? Tickled my soul. So I think, we're going to see how this plays out. But this was fun to watch. And I do wish everybody luck. And Jessica, don't take anything Joe said personal.
Cause it's really not. I just call it spade a
it's all
spade.
love.
I don't have no.
It's all love.
It's no love involved. I just call it spade a spade. You know what I mean?
All right. Thank you all for joining us. I'm your girl, Intisar Eleanor. This is my beautiful husband, Joseph. We really don't know what we're talking about. We've been dating each other for 117 years. We just talking mess. So, thank you for listening. And we'll see you beautiful mother jumpers later.
Peace.
Bye.